just to help out with the edit. Yep, thank you. And let's start.
Yay!
I want some beauty. All right, Liv.
She's on.
She's on. Let's start with your childhood and where it all began.
Rightio, where it all began. I'm thinking back on my childhood. I had a really good childhood. So I'm the oldest of 4. I grew up around the area as well, so local to the Maitland Hunter sort of region. I was a very creative child as well. I was always very busy, always had lots of ideas and quite independent as well. Because all my siblings are so much younger as well, it was really good to see them all kind of grow up. And I was able to be a bit more of have a lot of independence, but also responsibility as well for kind of being my own role model for my siblings too. So I've got an 18-year-old little brother, 16-year-old little brother, and then a 9-year-old sister as well.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so quite a big family.
So you're the oldest?
I'm the oldest, yeah. Which a lot of people then not surprised. They're like, you give off older sister sort of vibes.
So how was your upbringing as in schooling and high school?
Yeah, so primary school was pretty... I went to St. Joseph's, East Maitland. Pretty standard primary school. Just went through all of that. I think towards the end, I realised I had quite a passion for performing arts. So in primary school, what did I do? I played the guitar, played the trumpet. I started dancing. I got into drama. And then towards the end of that, I was like, you know what? I think I want to take this further. And so I actually auditioned for the Performing Art High School in Broadmeadow. Got into that for drama. And so for such a long time, all of my schooling, I thought, I'm going to be a performer. So I continued with my dancing, ended up being a dance teacher for a little bit there, assistant dance teacher, continued doing drama. And I had a pretty good experience in high school as well. I definitely wasn't anyone that was popular or anything. I kind of laid low, had a small, nice group of friends.
And what happened? Actually, let's go back. What about parents? What did they do?
So my mum's an occupational therapist, and my dad, he has a degree in dietetics, so he actually ended up doing the same degree. He's worked for dairy farmers before and Blue Tongue Brewery. So they have, I guess both very clinical backgrounds in terms of their education and all that as well. So I think also being the first child, I had not pressure, but I felt like I wanted to do them proud. They've always been the most supportive parents to me, and I thinking back on my childhood, I could not fault their parenting at all, and I'm so glad that I am someone that they are so proud of as well. And I think even when I graduated my degree, having them both there, I had this moment I remember where I was texting them being like, oh, you guys here yet? I'm sitting in the auditorium and, I've got my hat and everything on. I'm about to get my degree. And they're like, yeah, we're behind. Turn around. I turn around and I see them both sitting there waving at me. And it's that moment from my graduation was just, that was the moment I was really there for, to be completely honest. So, yeah.
All right, that's beautiful and amazing. I love that. So we finished high school. What are we doing?
So towards the end of high school, I was like, okay, I think I want to pursue acting. I want to pursue drama. Something I was pretty good at. Ended up getting a band 6 in my HSC drama performance as well. So they had this drama trip where we were all going to go over to USA for a couple of weeks. And it was pretty much the opportunity of a lifetime at that point. So that was going to happen in year 12. And so I'd gotten all ready for that a couple of weeks prior. COVID hits and we're all in lockdown. At that point, we're at the start of year 12 doing my HSC, and I'm feeling quite stressed because at the same time I'm like, well, I still want to, aim for maybe going to university. If something doesn't work out, I still want to get a degree, because I think that was also the expectation I think I had upon myself too. And knowing that both my parents had degrees, I was like, okay, well, I want to aim for that as well. I'm flipping through all the different degrees you can do, and I'm like, none of this is interesting to me. Like, I'm not interested in any of this. But I remember seeing the one about nutrition, and I was like, oh, this could be kind of interesting. Like, maybe I'll aim for that. And so that was about, I think if we go back, that was probably more about year 11. So I was still kind of aiming for that drama and that kind of acting career of mine. But in the background, I was so interested in that as well, because I think if I really go back to where, like, the reason I got into fitness, or like where it all kind of started in terms of the gym space, this is a story that I think a lot of people don't know, or some people might know, but I'd never really talk about because I feel like it can be a sensitive subject. So it's not something that you just, when people go, oh, how'd you get into the gym? It's not something you just like throw out there, because it can be like, whoa, it can be a bit awkward as well if someone's going through something themselves. But when I was dancing and acting and modeling, and obviously at such a young age, being like 16, 17 years old, and obviously like my body's changing, I'm noticing a lot of people are kind of looking at me, I'm looking at myself, I'm being quite self-critical. I don't have a lot of confidence at the same time. I think I developed quite an unhealthy relationship with food, and that was almost a control mechanism for me. So I developed some pretty unhealthy habits. I was quite scared of food. I pretty much used it as a way to kind of control
everything.
Yeah.
Block it all out.
Yeah. It was almost like a numbing feeling, I think, as well. So this was all like year 11, year 12, and I think that kind of isolated me a little bit as well. Yeah.
Such an important, pinnacle point of your stage of life at that age of high school.
Yeah. And there's so much going on. So much going on. And obviously I had no idea, I hadn't know anything about nutrition. I didn't know anything about the body, how the body worked. All I knew is I was like, okay, well, I'm modeling and I'm doing this acting and I'm dancing. Maybe, if I can somehow control this aspect of my life, and obviously like my body was getting smaller, people, wow, you've lost all this weight, like, what are you doing? And meanwhile, I'm just like, I'm not treating myself the way that I should have been treating myself.
In what way? Like, are you overeating or undereating or starving yourself in a way?
I was undereating, 100%. Yeah. So I remember like I downloaded one of those tracking apps, and I was, just trying to pretty much eat as little as I could. And I was like so scared because I didn't want to tell anyone, and I was so scared to go to the doctors because obviously I was getting a lot. I think I lost probably like 10 kilos in a span of, I don't know, like maybe like, so not so much weeks, like definitely months. Like it was a slow, it was gradual where people weren't getting too alarmed, but I knew that I was feeling so drained. I was feeling so tired. It was like definitely like such a big energy deficit that I was quite miserable. I was so miserable.
And where did this come from? Was this from someone bullying you, or was someone's just self-insecurity?
I think being a perfectionist, always been so. I was always so self-critical that always came from me, and I kind of knew. And I think at that particular time in social media, there were so many toxic, negative messages that were going around. On places. Like, I mean, I had Instagram at the time, but what else was there? There was like, what was that platform? Even stuff on like Pinterest was a bit, like I know Pinterest is such a random place to say it, but like, there was just, it was like left, right and center, and it's the kind of thing where the more that you kind of delve into it, the more that it was showing you.
In your face.
Yeah. It was like, think of that classic, like, unhealthy, sick model sort of.
it's funny you say that because back then there was that time modelling.
Yep.
Well, a model was very, very slim,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
that's exactly the time frame.
I remember that, yes.
Yep.
Okay.
So that was
That was the standard.
That was the standard. That's what social media was, and that's what modelling was, and that's what being fit and healthy. And I think particularly for, now that I look back at generations of women, like prior to that, even like, you know, like my mom's generation or generation before that, like that's always been the standard for women's fitness, was being skinny, being small, not eating a lot, try to restrict, you know, like, oh, don't eat this much, don't eat that much, or don't eat carbs. Or so it was like, okay, what can I eat? Maybe I just will try not to eat anything, because that seems to be what, you know, because you see low carb, low this, low that, then it's like, okay, well then maybe I'll just try it, just not to. Maybe that's a safer option. So that's where a lot of that, I guess, that external kind of where I got that information from. And it wasn't until I started finding positive influences out there, and I'm talking like people who were in the world of...
Who is this influencer? Tell me what it is.
It is, it's like, it's probably someone so random and you're going to be like, I don't even know who that is, but...
Someone watch this and know what you're talking
yeah, I know. BioLane, he's...
I don't know.
Holly Baxter, BioLane, who was Stephanie Buttermore, I think that's her name. And these are all like really like, they have like PhDs, like they're very well knowledgeable, well studied. They're not the, when I say influencer, it's not the type of person that someone would think of. Yep. They're, health professionals. And all of a sudden I started actually learning about the human body and what food is, what food can do, and food is fuel. And all of a sudden I'm going, here I am trying to like avoid food at all costs, and I'm living this miserable life, and I'm not happy, and I'm not fueling myself, and I just felt so lost and numb, and my body is sore, and I don't even like the way I look, to be completely honest. And I know like no one else probably does either. I was like a little string bean, this like tiny like 17-year-old. And then it wasn't until the power of knowledge that I was able to learn that life can be so much better, and I'm not trapped. I'm not trapped by trying to avoid something which is actually so good for me. Yep. And it's literally changed my life, and it's what I do for a profession now. I love food. And I love everything that it does for my body. So I've done like a complete 180, to be honest.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's fascinating how times have changed. Like you just said, back then, model or the female body had to look like this. Mm-hmm. What is it now? And it's not that.
Exactly.
And it's beautiful, and it's awesome to see that, you know, it's advertised that you know, oversized females is fine. Yeah. You know, I see all these oversized females. It's just out there. It's so positive now.
Exactly.
You know, it's not the, you know,
and I've found
female that's the model now.
Yeah, even working in fashion the past 4 years, it's like so funny how after kind of like going through all that myself, and then even seeing women, like people come into store and they're like well into their 50s, 60s. It doesn't even matter how old they are, but sometimes I can just like see that they're so just like unhappy and not confident in themselves, because they just don't understand the way that things like aren't, you don't have to try and fit that mold, or they have this perception that they can't feel beautiful and confident and strong in their own skin because they're comparing themselves to something which is so outdated and so unrealistic, and it's not real.
And I think social media has, you know, paint this picture that it was real, or you had to be that, you know, it's in your face, but it's just so amazing to see it change now. You know, you've got people like you've got all these other influencers who are changing the game, you know, it's just amazing.
Like I remember even, I was probably like maybe 18 at the time when things were starting to shift, and I was trying to find those positive influences, because I realized, right, I can't keep following and looking at this toxic material, because you are kind of what you digest is also like social media as well. It's not obviously just like what you eat, it's who you surround yourself with. who you follow on social media, who, I guess, like where you are, it's your environment. And so I realized, okay, I need to actually start like changing my surroundings to be able to change and help myself. And I remember there was like this hashtag, it was like strong, not skinny. And I remember like reading that and seeing that, and I was like, yeah, like that's exactly what I'm trying to aim to do. Like I want to be strong, not skinny, because the skinny version of myself, that was just so draining. And so like life just literally felt so black and white. Whereas like feeling strong, like I didn't even know the power in understanding what it was to step into a gym and not like run for the cardio equipment or like hide on the on the Stairmaster or the bike or the elliptical or whatever cardio equipment that I would spend like 1 or 2 hours on, just looking at all the people in the weight section. And then all of a sudden I was the one who was in the weight section, lifting the weights and going, life is so much better on this side of the gym. And obviously, hate on the cardio, but where I was spending that time just wasn't productive for me, and it didn't fill my cup up at all.
That's so bloody true, because I did that. I know everyone that started in the gym, where did we all go? We ran over to the cardio machine.
Literally.
And we sat there. We all went through that. It's so relatable, and it's honestly so true. When did you step foot into the gym after you're saying you went through, what was it, acting and all that type of stuff? Yeah, so
it was we were coming out of the lockdown period, and I remember, my ex-partner at the time, he was like, right, we're going to go to the gym. And I was like, okay, yeah, cool. I guess I used to go to the gym beforehand. And so we walk in, and then I'm like, right, well, I'm going to go up to the treadmill. And he's like, we're going to the gym. Like, what are you doing? And he's going up to the weight section, like getting ready to do a back day. And he's like, oh, okay, well, you just come down when you're ready. And I'm here going, like, what do you do at the gym? I know what I do at the gym, and I go up to the cardio equipment. And he was the one who actually taught me how to lift weights, how to actually lift weights in the gym, how to build muscle, like what the entire gym scene was. It took one person to show me what to do and how to feel strong. That changed the entire game for me. All of a sudden I understood. I was like, oh, this is what the gym is. This is what the gym is. I learned some of the foundational movements, how to do a lat pull down, how to do a pull up, what a squat was. I remember doing a squat for the first time and being like, wait, so how many times a week do I do this? Do I do this next time I come in? I think having any sort of person that can really show you what to do and be a mentor for you, whether it is your partner, whether it is a family member, whether it's a coach, having someone help you and take you under their wing is so amazing, and it's sometimes all you need to change your entire perspective on something. Which I guess is the reason that I got into the job that I have at the moment as well. Amazing. How did you build your confidence up? And obviously for the people that do start the gym, that is such an intimidating place, and a lot of people end up, not following through, and they, cancel their memberships. Yeah, I think you can't rely on anyone else to motivate you. You can't rely on anything external. You need to seriously sit down with yourself, look at yourself in the mirror and go, why am I doing this? And who do I want to be? Because if you try to step foot in the gym and try to do things for other people, or try to be like, oh, well, I guess I have to be here because, this is just like what I do, it's what everyone does, go to the gym. Like, you're not going to like it, and you're not going to actually push yourself or enjoy the process either. Like, you need to do it for you. You need to find that picture of yourself that you want to be. And every time you step foot into the gym, you need to go, that's who I'm working towards. And even sometimes I'll do the opposite and go, right, where was I 10 years ago, 5 years ago? I'm doing it for her, because if she saw me now in the gym, she'd go, oh, okay, maybe that's the kind of person that I want to be. And you have to really have that internal motivation to want to better yourself, because like no one's going to have the motivation to do that but yourself. Like no one's going to do it for you. So if you don't find the confidence to want to be a better version of yourself, no one's going to tell you to take the leap, take the step, commit to, to the gym scene.
Oh my God, who are you, bro?
Now I'm warmed up. Now I'm like...
Jesus. Oh my God. Bloody hell. All right, cool. You're in the gym space. You've done high school. Obviously you had, was that your first relationship?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was there any more after that?
I've been in a couple short-term relationships, but that was like the only like long-term.
What's the situation with you and relationships?
It's a bit tricky, and I know why it's tricky, because I'm so goddamn busy that I know that I'm like, right, I want a partner and I want to be in the dating scene and I know what I need to do, but all of a sudden I'm putting 120% energy into all these different career paths that I have and all these different opportunities, and I have the most packed schedule almost known to mankind, and so it makes it really, really, really hard, really tricky to get to know people, and also to allow myself the time and the effort to put into other people as well. So that's been something which is really hard and really challenging for me.
No time. All right. So when did we start getting into the content creation and influencer stage? When did that kick off?
Honestly, I think most of it was around lockdown.
Okay.
I mean, I started beforehand in high school when I was kind of posting stuff from my modeling and just kind of like starting out on Instagram and kind of getting some followers and networking with people. I had a bit of a platform. I had a couple of thousand followers. So I was like, yeah, this is nice. And once again, because I laid so low at school, like it wasn't really, no one really talked about it. So I could kind of like experiment with social media, post photos, take photos, and know that I wasn't going to kind of like step into school the next day and everyone be like, oh my God, you see, Liv put this up, and just have that anxiety as well, like going on in the back of my mind. So I felt like that, so I could express myself, particularly during lockdown as well, because I wasn't at school, like in year 12. Yeah, lockdown happened in year 12. So I wasn't, having to think about the way that other people were perceiving me when I, walked in the school gates at 9 a.m. That started, content creation started mainly around then. Honestly, I don't think people realised what I'd started doing and what I built until like the end of year 12. People going, oh, I saw you like on this like macro market ad that popped up. Like, is this you? And I was like, yeah, yeah, that is me. And I've been doing this all on the side and all just for myself, like not even, I guess like social media in that particular point. I know a lot of people were doing it to kind of like, get attention of like other people our age or, more of like a validation sort of thing, where I was like, oh no, this is kind of cool. I was always such an entrepreneur as well. So I was like, oh, cool. Like I can like network with businesses. I'm like, I can, create content for you. Like, do you want like me to film this video, this photo? And I was able to be creative and entrepreneurial at the same time at such a young age. It was such a random thing as well that, I guess I just found in the online space.
Out of your passion.
Pardon?
Out of your passion.
Yeah, out of my own passion for it.
So, how do you obviously done that, and then when was it where you were like, hey, I really enjoy doing this, I love this, this is, something I could see me doing. When did that happen where you put the pedal down and was like, hey, I'm going to do this and really up the ante and, get to where you are now? Because
I think it was towards the end of year 12, so I had pretty much like graduated year 12 and I was
congrats.
Like, thank you. And I was like, okay, like I've built a bit of a platform here. I kind of know what I'm doing. I've got some of these sponsorships, I'm in the gym space. I know how to lift. I was kind of like looking at different like bodybuilding competitions and stuff as well. And it was one of those things that I enjoyed so much that I automatically just was like doing every day. So I was kind of like vlogging my life on Instagram, as people see now, putting things in my story, posting. So I don't think there was a moment where I was like, right, I'm going to do this and call it, like, it never really felt like a job. It was just something that I always did. It's like you wake up and you brush your teeth. Like, you don't really think about it. It's not like, oh, that's a chore that I do in my day. Like, I wake up and I brush my teeth or whatever. Like, it just was kind of just part of my day.
Yeah, okay.
So it's weird because I can't put my finger on a moment or a time where I was like, right, this is what I'm doing. Like, because I never thought about it like that, because I genuinely loved it so much that I never...
It was just happening.
Yeah, it was just kind of happening. And I think when it's like an accumulation, once again, it's like in that fitness space, you say like, it's all the 1%ers or it's all the little tiny consistencies. And I think it's the same with social media. If you're consistent with it, you're putting in the 1% and you're showing up as yourself and you're being authentic and just you're keeping at it, even when you feel like there's a setback or there's a knockback or someone has something negative to say, you just keep going. Like, you don't let... if you have a car and one tyre's popped, you don't go, oh, I'm just going to pop off all of them. No, you pump the one tyre up and you keep going forward. So I think that's kind of the way that it's just kept building and building and building. And I'm so grateful to, I guess, like, be where I am and have people who support me as well. Because it was almost like a bit of a self-development tool. Like, I know it's so funny to say because I feel like no one ever says that, but being forced to reflect on yourself in your day and actually like write things out, whether it's in caption form, whether you're talking to a camera, like, you're really forced to like actually like look inwards on yourself. And yeah, you're forced to literally share your thoughts, your goals. So it's like a bit of I always called it like a digital scrapbook. That's what social media is for me. A digital journal, digital scrapbook, and I just let everyone, I'm an open book, so it's just online for everyone to see pretty much.
And the beauty about that is you can look back at it.
Yeah.
You can look back at we started all the way up to where you are now.
Exactly. So yeah, it's hard being vulnerable and showing my life online all the time. And kind of going back to that dating thing you said as well, it's also really tricky because I know that, say if I go on a first date or I meet someone for the first time, they know so much about me because there is so much for them to know before they even meet me, that it does make it different to like meet people, especially when they know so much about me and sometimes I don't know that much about them. So it's always like a bit of a tricky dynamic, I think, as well. And then also knowing if people actually want to get to know me for the right reasons or see me for who I am and not someone who, has this many followers or has these achievements or some of those really materialistic and non-valuable
things that don't matter.
Things that don't matter. Things that aren't real.
So how do you deal with the negative comments, with the haters on social media that you probably do obviously come across that? How do you deal with that side of
I think it comes down to having such...
Don't worry about what people say about you.
Yeah. I think it comes down to having such a strong sense of self and such a confidence that if I thought of, okay, what's the worst thing someone could say about me? Think about it and go, okay, well, I'm just not going to let it affect me. So when I do see comments or hear things or have people tell me things that, oh, so-and-so said this or apparently this, or you just get, there's just so much that goes around that if you feed into that negativity, then that's all you're going to have room for. So when I look at my mental space and my mental health and I go, right, what do I want my mind to be? What do I want? Yeah, like how do I word this?
Word it however you want.
I always think of like my mental health and my state of mind like a garden. So if I think about what type of plants that I want in that garden, then there's no room for any other weeds. There's no room for anything else. So I think it's really important to you need to be able to work on yourself and have such a strong confidence that, yeah, there is just no room for negativity, and actually being aware of like what's true and what's false and kind of where things are coming from too. Like, people only say negative things from their own insecurity. And I know that because I've been insecure before as well. So I know what it's like to be judgmental, and like I've never said a bad word about anyone. I've never bullied anyone. I think I've always been like a kind person. Even like mum would remind me of times when I was little, and they'd just be like, a kid in the pool kind of playing by themselves, and they'd be like, oh, like come play mermaids with us or something, and then she'd just be like, it's kind of nice of you. Like you didn't really have to do that, but like I'm sure they really appreciated that. But like even I remember I actually used to have really, really, really bad skin. I used to have really bad acne in high school. It's funny now because everyone's like, oh, your skin looks so good. And I'm just like, I would never have thought that I'd have like I don't have any foundation or anything on, like a little bit of blush or whatever. But, and I remember when I was very insecure about my skin, whenever I would talk to anyone or whenever I'd say, like all I would notice was like other people's skin because I was so insecure about it. So I know if someone has something negative to say about, I don't know, my body or I guess like the way that I just authentically be myself or just like literally anything, I know that's stemming from them, like their own insecurities and maybe what they're lacking or just are not confident in within themselves. So when I do hear things and see things that come across quite rude or mean or negative to me, I just like, I know like, okay, like that's actually your problem. It has nothing to do with me at all.
Absolutely. So, you've got me. You've lost me. What was I going to say? So, we've covered that. Oh, the comp. Your first comp.
Oh, yeah.
First comp. What made you want to do that?
So,
where did that come from?
I guess like if we go right back to high school days, I guess some of these health professionals or like people or influencers I'd seen, they dabbled a little bit of bodybuilding. I knew what bodybuilding was, but it wasn't until I was with my ex and he was like, you know what, I've always wanted to do a bodybuilding competition. And I was like, oh, go do one. Like, do it. What are you waiting for? Like, you look great. Do one. So I remember he got a coach and I was just so interested in what his prep was like, what he was doing. I remember every check-in I'd be like, okay, so has he changed anything? Like I wasn't even prepping, but I just was so interested in it and just watching the whole process from the side and, looking at some of the different foods that he was eating and the training he was doing and just that entire process from start to finish. The comp did get cancelled. Once again, another COVID round flew up, but it wasn't until I saw him undergo that process, I was like, you know what? I think I could do this. I could do this myself. I'd seen girls, they get up in the bikinis and they do it. And once again, like I think when you're like living with someone that's done a prep and I'd seen what that was like, I was like, I'm capable of doing that. Like I can do that as well. And so I hopped under the same coach he was under and we were prepping for our first ever comp together. Wow, and I know. So yeah, we like prepped for our first comp. I remember we did it, like show day hit, and believe it or not, I almost pretty much placed dead last.
What?
Yeah. There was no top 3, no top 5. It was very much like last call outs in an amateur local bodybuilding competition. Yep. But that was like one of the best days to date because I remember stepping up on that stage and I'd stepped up on so many stages before that. I'd done so many dance competitions. I'd competed internationally for dance. I'd done drama. I'd done music. The stage was such a safe place for me, but I knew when I was up there in my bikini posing, I was like, this is different. Like this is actually where I'm meant to be. And so I walked off obviously with like no placings, but I was like, nah, this is actually my sport and I'm going to get so damn good at it. And I remember like this fire was just lit. And like, that was such a pivotal moment. I can almost like close my eyes and I can think of the moment where like the lights were hitting me. I was in my purple bikini and I was like looking out posing and I was like, oh, this is it. Like this is my purpose really.
This is the purpose.
Yeah. And so I remember, even that night when we went to dinner, I was already planning out, right, okay, so this is what I've got to do to try and improve. Like this is going to be my timeline. This is my plan. And I was like so locked into being like, I want to be in this for the long run and I want to get so good at this because I I love being able to feel confident, feel feminine, but feel strong, feel so proud of myself, having like my family in the audience as well. Yeah, it's actually crazy. And even from like just like a body perspective, feeling so comfortable in my body. If you think like standing up on a stage in literally like your underwear, like the tiniest like little bikini, and feeling nothing but confident. You have like the biggest smile. I had the biggest smile on my face. And that was just such an amazing moment, thinking back to like the girl who was like scared of food. I was like trying to hide my body and like, you know, like big shirts and everything, going to the treadmill, and to be up there being like, oh, look at these glutes I've grown, look at my shoulders, like just so proud. And yeah, like that's how it all started for me. That's how bodybuilding started.
That's the thing a lot of people don't notice, is that there is so much work to be put in to build that body.
Yeah.
You know, physically, mentally, emotionally, you know, and like you would know, being like a nutritionist and stuff like that now, how interesting the body works.
Yeah. It's incredible.
And what food does to, you know, the body.
Yeah, food is fuel. And even, I guess like Living Fueled, which was like my podcast and what my first business was when I was like working through there with my clients. That name, I always knew that was going to be the name for it, because like I guess everything that I've spoken about, it's like living fueled, like food is fuel. And I think there's still the misconception of, you know, like diet culture and like food restriction. And there is like a component obviously of having like using quantity to obviously get to stage. Like you need to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. There is no doubt about it. But there's still so much nutrients that your body needs in types of foods, and it's still so complex that that's such a key part of it. You can't just go avoiding it, because you need to build the muscles up. You need to, like, there's so much to it. I could go on and on and on, but it's something that is like pivotal to it. So like without food as fuel, like you're not getting up on stage essentially. You're not lifting weight, you're not living life, you're not doing any of that.
It's so true, because like the things you can sculpt with food, and like you know what carbs do, what protein does, all these things go into the body, and you know play a big part in how you want to sculpt the body. And that's the beauty about I would say bodybuilding. You know, it's totally different to powerlifting, totally different to CrossFit, and you know it's not for everyone. But it's just such a beautiful. I love it myself. I love the sport. Anyway, so you've done that comp, you've finished it, you're loving it. What are we doing next after that, dude?
So after that first season, took a couple months off, came back at the end of the year. So I did back-to-back seasons. I know. And I competed in Coffs Harbour, and I stepped on stage. Obviously I knew like the last time I stepped on stage I didn't even play, so my expectations weren't super high. I was like, right, I just want to do better than I did last time, and I looked so much better than I did last time as well. And I walked away with an overall bikini title. First place in all my categories. It was like almost like a dream. I remember I just couldn't believe it. I genuinely couldn't believe it. I went from last call outs to getting, like, it was only a small show, mind you, but I smashed it, you know?
You killed it.
Yeah. And then, after that, I took maybe like almost a year off, came back the next year, did states, came first in the state, and then I went to nationals, came I think a third in my age group, so under 23s, and then I think it was like 5th or 6th in all of Australia. And that was just crazy as well. It's
what an experience.
Yeah. So it's like each time I've prepped, I've just leveled up. I've told myself, right, like I'm putting in 100%, and I'm like such a driven person that when I do something, like I will do it so well, and I put my heart and my soul into it, and I only do things that I'm so passionate about. So like when I'm prepping, like it's my life. When I'm building, like it's my life. Like bodybuilding is a 24/7 sport, so a year-long sport. I know there is like people say like on-season, off-season prepping, but
through a prep for the ones that never been through prep and what it takes.
So prior to a prep, you want to make sure that you've gone through like a building phase. Make sure you actually have the muscle tissue there. So I even did that before my first ever prep too. I made sure that I went through a build and I was prioritizing putting on weight, putting on muscle, building shape. And then once you have, I guess, all this foundation, it's all about chipping away, I guess, like the layer of fat that comes over the top. Yeah, revealing what is underneath. So you're building the body and then you're stripping it all back to see what you've built. It's like, I don't know what to compare it to, but...
That's fascinating.
Yeah. So you build it up and then you're shredding down and then it's kind of... Yeah, you just kind of go back and forth depending on... Obviously, it's so independent to the athlete, what their feedback is. Some people might get feedback saying, you know what, don't build up too much more, just build up this amount, that amount. Like, it is so individual. So I think there's no one size fits all. It is so adaptive and everyone's journey is so different. Like, some people will need longer off seasons if they have a lot that they want to build. Other people will have, maybe like shorter off seasons where, to be honest, all they need to do is maintain. It's very independent to like the athlete, their federation, their experience. I guess like whether or not they're using PEDs. There's so many different factors where it's kind of hard to explain what a prep I think is because it's so individual to the person. Mm-hmm. That like even preps that I've had before, like they're so different within themselves. And if I compare the prep that I'm in now versus the first prep I had, I was on a very...
different, isn't it?
Yeah, very different. But even just like my approach with food in particular is so different. So the first prep I was on a very strict meal plan. There wasn't a lot of variety happening. It was, very classic bodybuilder. If you think of like very like chicken, rice, broccoli, sweet potato sort of vibes, not a lot of variety. And then, for example, like this prep and like even the most successful prep beforehand, I've just been flexibly dieting. I tell some people and they're like, wait, actually? And I'm like, I don't follow a meal plan. I actually am at a point with my coach, my body and myself where I have such a variety in my diet where I have so many different whole food nutrients and I can still be somewhat intuitive with my food because I am so well knowledged in what it is that I'm putting into my body as well. Obviously, like the closer that I do get to prep, I will jump on a meal plan because things get so, I guess, tight and precise that you really do need that very precise like structure and rigidity and even when it comes down to like food sources as well. But for the main part of prep, for like a good 75% of it, I can still be intuitive with my body and my food choices. And I think, that's what people, when they're like, oh, I could never do a prep, I love food too much. I love food so much that I studied it. I do it for a job. Like, sometimes it's just such a backward comment when people say, I could never prep, I love food too much. Because I'm like, well, I love food. I'm prepping. And I love it. Yeah, exactly.
That's the sad thing about people.
Mm-hmm.
They think that you just have to have chicken, rice and veg.
Yeah. I couldn't do that. I mean, like, I
Yeah,
kind of did it from the first prep, but it wasn't great. Yeah.
Wrong, we all started there.
But it's like
all these things. Like, you would know so much about nutrition that, you could say, Chris, you can have a burger tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be like, fuck off, Liv, I can't have a burger. And you'll be like, honestly, have a burger, but then do this,
Exactly.
It comes down to information and education.
There's so much freedom in flexibility, and I think there's also... It's like that progress over perfection as well. I think even being perfectionist myself, and if people go, oh, no, like I'm not ready for a prep, I'm not ready for bodybuilding, like I just want to do it. I'm like, but why? And I think it's because I have this perfectionist mindset where I think, oh, like I need to be absolutely perfect every single step of the way. Otherwise, there's no point in doing the prep. And there is a lot of importance in hitting the non-negotiables, putting the work in, grinding it out. But it doesn't mean that you have to eat from like 5 different food sources every single day. And don't get me wrong, like I still weigh out all my food, everything is tracked, but the difference of like 1 gram isn't going to throw my entire prep out the window. Do you know what I mean? Like 102 grams of rice versus 101 grams of rice. I'm not going to get up on stage and they're not going to be like, you know what, guys, she went 1 gram over. She's down a place. Like, it's so, I think sometimes that vision of bodybuilding is a little bit overrated and warped because, to be honest, like, that's not how the body works. The body's not a calorie calculator. The body's not a scale. That's just not how the human body works. So obviously we can use things like tracking apps and scales, and we can control the controllables and measure things out, but that's not how the body works either. Like, the body's not a computer. It's a living vessel. So even if I were to, like, yeah, I could, yeah. I'm not going to go too far.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That makes sense.
Yeah.
What else has Liv been doing? How do you manage to you know, do this prep that you're doing? Work here. Are you still retail at? No way, bro. I am.
I put in my 2 weeks about a week ago. But
You've been running like this for ages.
Yeah, I realised I had 6 jobs. I have 6 jobs right now.
How are you doing this?
I think it takes, it takes a lot of organisation. My mum says, because I had a moment, I think it was like probably like over a year ago, where I was like, my life isn't normal. Like, what I'm doing isn't normal. Like, everyone I'm talking to, when I tell them what a week in my life looks like, they're going, what the hell? And I'm realising, okay, like, I'm doing things a bit differently. Like, I'm not your typical human being, or even typical 21-year-old, to be completely honest. And she's just like, you know what? I think you have really high executive functioning and these incredible organizational skills, along with like having such an authentic passion. Like, if you're not passionate about something, then you're not going to do it. So every job that I have, every, I guess, like event that I have in my week, I'm actually genuinely so passionate about that it doesn't feel like a chore. It doesn't feel like I'm dragging myself through things. Like, when you look at a day and say, if you absolutely hate your job and you're doing that for like 8.5 hours of the day, then you feel like the only, I guess, like recreational like happiness that you can get is going to be like either side of that 8.5 hours. But when you're actually loving everything you're doing, all of a sudden I'm like, no, I actually love the 24 hours in my day. Like, I don't only have what's 24 minus 9? I don't know.
yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah, it's like
it's good and the other's bad.
100%, yeah. So I think that's how I managed to do it. Like, it's a lot of discipline, and like, don't get me wrong, I am so exhausted sometimes. I'm genuinely so exhausted. I'm not going to pretend like I don't literally get home and just be like, you know what, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. But I still go to bed and I'm like, you know what, I'm actually so freaking excited to wake up the next day, because I know that I have all this other cool shit planned. And yeah, I think it comes down to actually loving what you're doing. So if you're in a routine that you don't like and you don't enjoy, you're in a job or jobs that you don't like, I think that's what you got to kind of start with, is taking it all back and going like, right, what does my day look like? And if I actually want to enjoy what I'm doing, I need to pursue something that I'm actually excited for, because I think, yeah, like having genuine passion for what I do is the reason that gets me through.
Such a good answer. So what do you do in your spare time if you have any spare time? I
actually don't have any spare time. I don't have spare time, but what I do, I guess in general, what do I do in my spare time? I guess that's where a lot of the content creation and social media and like that's, although that is part of my job now, it's part of my, like, I guess one of my 6 jobs and where I get a source of income from, that is something that I have a passion for, is just being creative. I think that's what I do in my spare time. I think that's my answer, is I'm creative. I'm thinking of ideas, I'm getting inspired, I'm just like not afraid of doing things that are new, trialing new things, and just, yeah.
When you're, let's say this, when you're doing all your 5 things except your content creating, are you thinking of ideas while you're, like, say you're down here? Are you like...
Yes. I actually feel like my brain, if you think of a laptop and it's got like 40 tabs open, but then like 3 different windows. So my brain is just always full of so much stuff, and I'm so grateful that I can quickly flick between different things and kind of have multiple ideas brewing in the background while I'm still present in the task that I'm doing. But yeah, I feel like I'm really good at thinking of different ideas and have different things arise at certain times. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how I was going with that.
No, that's fine. Last one, let's finish this up. Give some advice, or some tips for someone wanting to get into the content creation side of things, and where to go with that.
I think my advice would be show up exactly as yourself and nothing less. So, and I tell this to people all the time. They go, oh, you post so much, and like, how do you, or they're like, oh, which photo should I post? I think people get so in their head about what other people are going to think that if you waste time on trying to think about how other people are going to perceive you, what other people are going to think, you're actually not going to get anywhere. I remember right at the beginning, I would waste so much time flipping between things so simple as like filters. I'd be like, should I brighten this? Nah, I'll take the brightness down. Oh, nah, I'll do both and then I'll compare. No one actually gives a shit. No one looks at it that long. The person who looks at it the most is you. So if you just throw out that authentic content, you just say things how they are, take photos how they are, document things how they are, that's how people follow along, and that's how you create your digital journey. That is how you create your own space. That is how, I guess, you can convey the most real version of yourself, is just not overthinking it, not worrying what other people are saying, not, just like not giving a shit, to be honest.
What people think.
Do what sets your heart on fire and just be you, because so many people aren't going to like you. Like, in no world is everyone going to, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. You're going to find your people and your supporters by just doing you, being you, and you will attract all these people. So I think that's my biggest advice, is just literally just be you. Don't try to be anyone else. Don't try to be the person that someone else wants you to be. Just, you're here, you are all you need. I think that's like one of the biggest things I've learned as well in life, that it doesn't even matter where I am or what I'm doing. Like, everything that I need is like it's here, I've got it. Like, it's in here, it's in my heart, I've got my brain, I've got like my energy, and that's, doesn't matter where I am, who I'm with, what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm so just like secure and stable in who Liv is.